It's not only what we do, but also what we do not do, for which we are accountable. That was Molière. One of the most persistent and challenging themes that I encounter when working with executives is this issue of accountability. And it's the bedrock of high-performance culture. And yet it's often the first thing to crumble under the pressure. When a project fails, a deadline is missed, or a culture turns toxic, I see leaders facing a fundamental choice. Are you looking out of the window, or are you looking in the mirror? Looking out of the window is the natural human instinct. It's where we find the reasons: the volatile market, the uncooperative board, the lack of talent, or the shifting economy. And these factors are often real, but looking out of the window is a passive act, and it shifts the power away from you and onto circumstances that you can't control. Looking in the mirror, however, well, that's a leadership discipline. It requires asking uncomfortable questions. What did I tolerate? What did I fail to communicate clearly? Where did I prioritize my own comfort over a difficult but necessary confrontation? And this is where true influence is born. So let's consider the case of the 1982 Tylenol crisis, when 7 people died from cyanide-laced capsules. Johnson & Johnson, they faced a nightmare. They could have easily looked out of the window. They didn't taint the medicine, a criminal did. They could have blamed the lack of retail security or the madness of an individual. Legally and factually, they weren't at fault for the tampering. Instead, they looked in the mirror. They took total radical ownership of the situation, and they recalled over 30 million bottles at a cost of over $100 million, a staggering sum at the time. So they didn't wait for a mandate. They led the charge in developing tamper-resistant packaging, and that changed the industry forever. They didn't cause the crisis, but they owned the response. And that brings us to this delicate balancing act of executive life. What is the fair versus what is right? It may not feel fair to carry the weight of a mistake made 3 levels down, or a market crash, or a war that you didn't see coming. But as a leader, it is right to own the next move. And accountability isn't about taking the blame for everything. It's about taking responsibility for the outcome. And if you only ever look out of the window, then you'll find plenty of explanations, but you will find very little power to change things. If you look in the mirror, then you find the leverage to transform yourself and your organization. So I want to leave you with this. When your team hits a wall or strategy falters, what's your first instinct? Do you spend your energy explaining the external obstacles, or do you examine your own leadership footprint? I'd love to hear your comments on how you strike that balance between external reality and personal responsibility. If you're ready to see how accountability is truly shaping your leadership and where might be holding your business back, then visit edwardklinger.com and complete the executive diagnostic. See you again soon.